I think that picture would be a black man, probably praying with God behind him, but also there there would be there will be a sun in this photo, but somehow it has to have Florida A&M, and it has to have a picture of me standing straight up and knowing that I can do it, to exude the confidence that I gained at Florida A&M, and knowing that I have God on my side.
What's up, world? If you've ever wondered, what does my friend, partner, cousin actually do at work? Then you'll love Take Your Homeboy to Workday podcast. I am your host, BA, and here's what you can expect by tuning in. Each episode, I'll invite a guest to share their career journey, from a youth in school to their rise as a professional. We'll learn the nuts and bolts of jobs, and you'll learn how what they do shows up in our everyday lives. Finally, I'll have them open up about how they find fulfillment through their work. So, for anyone interested in hearing the first-hand experience of a specific career, these conversations are your launching pad. Today, we'll hear about electrical engineering, energy service, and its delivery to your home and/or business. Electricity powers the essentials of our lives, like heating and lighting, and dare I say that many of us take it for granted. That is, of course, until it is out and we don't have any. Energy delivery is complex and requires state-of-the-art infrastructure so that it is safe and reliable. Today's guest is Chase Steward, a 15-year veteran with ComEd. ComEd is Illinois' largest energy provider that keeps over 70% of the state's population lit and heated. Chase is a steward of Illinois' electricity superhighway. His love for his work is rooted in providing Chicagoans a high quality of life and economic well-being that makes Illinois an exceptional place to live. Beyond leveraging his engineering degree for the technical aspects of his responsibilities, he also has mastered clear communication in high stress situations, diligence to details, and building trust from customers and executives. I'm excited to pull back the curtain on such a critical part of our lives that often goes unheralded. So thank you for joining me today, Chase.
Thanks, Baba. Thanks, Baba.
So I gave a little introduction about what I think it is that you do, but in your own terms, can you explain ComEd and then what it is you do within ComEd?
Yeah, so Baba, I'm currently the manager of new business large projects. When you talk about new business large projects, what we do is we design power grids for businesses that are over 1 megawatt of power. So I know 1 megawatt of power. If you're not an engineer, you're like, what does that mean? So this is the Facebooks, the Amazons. Right now, we're working on Obama Library, the Trump Towers, the skyscrapers downtown, things of that sort. So I work with the big commercial buildings.
Yeah.
My group has 22 engineers under me. We have, out of that 22, we have project engineers who actually meet with the customers, trying to find out due days, things of that sort. Then we have the design side, who actually get the blueprint from pretty much the customer, and we figure out, based on the power that they need, how we're going to get them the power to their building. So it's a hand in hand conversation. It's a lot of nuts and bolts we got to get to the point where we get to that due date and we energize that customer.
Yeah. Man, that sounds impressive. I still remember the first time I actually understood what you did. As you were saying, a new building was being built across the skyline in Chicago. And basically, you had to figure out, how do I fit them into the current grid system, get them the power they need without possibly causing outages with all the other businesses and residential areas in the property. So, and I've been amazed with, wow, that is such important work that nobody really thinks about. So, thank you for that quick introduction. I guess my first question now is, how did you get into this? I mean, I know you studied electrical engineering at FAM. I guess first, what got you into that? Want to study electrical engineering? How did you choose that? That education path.
Yeah, so choosing engineering actually started in high school. So in high school, I was the go-to person with installing stereos in people cars and sound systems of that sort.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Okay.
it, yeah, yeah, yeah. This was way back in the day. I don't think people are still doing it now because of where we are with technology, but uh, trying to figure out how to get my speakers in my car louder. I mean, I didn't realize that would get me to where I'm at today. But once I went on college tours and looked around, I realized electrical engineering is where I landed because I would be able to use what I was doing to install those car stereo systems
Uh huh.
on a larger level and actually do something with that degree. So that's how I got to the engineering.
That makes sense. Now that I think about your ride in college, it makes sense that you started off doing. I didn't even know, and I guess I didn't even know that you did your own sound system in your own car. So that's even like eye opening for me that you had that knowledge even as in high school. So that's impressive. And
Thank
I
you, thank
guess
you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's no way I can still listen to the speakers the way I used to, but yeah, it was pretty loud back then.
and if we have time, I'd love to learn a little bit about how technology has changed in sound, but we'll come back to that question at the end. So
Got it, got it.
as you were matriculating through FAMU, going reaching your junior and senior year, um, what did you always know that you wanted to go and work for ComEd in Chicago? I mean, did you ever consider actually using your electrical engineering degree to continue to work in music and work with sound systems?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I there is no way you ever would have told me I would have worked for a utility company. I think the utility it doesn't sound sexy. You look at poles, you look at wires all day. It's no way you can say you want to do this for 15 years. So actually, in college, there was a company called Johnson Controls, and what they was known for was putting electronics actually in cars. So the navigations, the backup camera, things of that sort. That's what they were known for, and that's actually what I wanted to do. Had a tragedy in the family and brought me back to Chicago. And from my internship that I had with ComEd, my junior year, when I graduated from FAMU, I came back on full time. So I think if I didn't have that family tragedy, I definitely would have been doing something with electronics and cars.
Gotcha. Well, salute to you for whatever, salute to you for being a leader in your family and doing what it takes to keep that cohesion there and but still finding a way to achieve your goals. So salute to you for that journey that decision you had to make.
Yes,
And you
yes, yes, yes.
And you talked about doing an internship. So my next question is twofold because you talked about doing an internship and then this was also your first job out. So one of the questions I love to learn and ask is how much somebody can make those first years when they go into a field. So if you don't mind, and you don't have to share your personal, how much you personally made, but if you could share a range first for your internship, how much did you make? And then for your first job with ComEd, what's the range that somebody can expect to make?
Well, I'll do better since we're at 15 years now at the company, and with inflation and things of that sort, the range has changed. But currently now, when we're offering straight out of college, you're between about uh, 75 and 90,000 based on your
Hmm.
internship and experience.
Hmm.
And you can actually get more if you actually have a master's. So that's about the range that we're working with straight out of college.
Damn, that's that's a nice cushion to fall back on. Okay, thank you for sharing that and being upfront. So, you shared how much you could make or somebody could make coming into it. Um, as with all businesses, when they are putting money for an employee, they're expecting a return back to the company based on what you're able to produce. So, I guess the question I'm thinking is, uh, how do you make money for Com Ed?
Oh, that's a good question. So with ComEd and the utility industry, I think the old days of just the meter spinning is long and gone. So
Mm,
what my department is, like I say, we design the power grids. We're always thinking about energy efficiency, what we could do different. We deal
mhm,
with solar. We deal with all type of things to figure out different ways that we could power the community. Um,
mhm,
there's new technology out called microgrids. You guys might have heard about this. These are it's like communities have them where you can pretty much have your grid inside of a grid. Like looking forward in the future with technology and things of that sort, we're always trying to find different ways that we can power up the customer. So, like I stated in the beginning, just the meter running that we see on the back of our house is just one way that we bring in revenue to the company.
gotcha. And you talked about how you work a lot more with corporations, large buildings that are trying to come onto the grid, and how you can keep them safe but still give them the power they need. What's that whole process like? I guess if I am a developer, a corporate building developer, and I want to bring my business onto the grid, and I have to go to ComEd, and I end up with you as my representative. Uh, what is that conversation like?
It's it's very interesting because if you think most of the projects that I deal with, the first time we do a site meeting, we're going on site and there's no building.
Mm,
There's usually just a grass area or things of that sort. So they're giving us blueprints about how they're going to build the building. We're looking at the developer. We got all different types of engineers. Like I stated, we got project managers,
mhm,
and we're trying to see what the customer wants. Now, through the building stages, customers usually they change their plans. You have some buildings that say, "Hey, I want the water on this side of the building." They realize once they start designing the building, "Hey, I need to move the water on a total different side of the building." So what we do is we just try to figure out based on their load letter of how much power they need, how are we going to get the power to them? How can
mhm.
we design it where whatever space they give us, we can accomplish their goals? So it's constant communication back and forth to make sure the customer gets what they need. But like I say, those first meetings are very pivotal because this is when the developer and the customer is telling us, hey, I'm building this building. It's going to be a data center. It's 5 megawatts of power. So we go back and we figure out how are we going to find a way to give them 5 megawatts of power to design this. So it's these are very intense meetings that we go to.
Yeah, they sound like. How many people are in those meetings? And I guess who are the other within ComEd? Who are some of the other people you have to collaborate with that would be in those meetings?
Yes, yes. So you have new business large projects design team.
Hmm.
Sometimes you'll have the highway. The high rise engineers. You'll have the overhead and underground department. So you can have up to 15 and 20 people at that site visit to try to figure out what we can do to get this customer power.
So, one thing I like to do is bring bring to life what it is my guests do. And so you're right now you're focused on corporate business. So if I'm walking through a new skyscraper, what is like a physical manifestation of what you planned that I could see and be like, oh, that's what Chase does, or that's what a large business program manager does for ComEd.
Yeah, so uh, actually, we are the rooms that usually have the yellow signs that says "Beware." Electrical behind here and things of that sort. So you usually don't have access to these to places that we design. But if you happen to get in these buildings, you'll see transformers, you'll see all type of breaker system, things of that sort that's behind those walls. But like I say, the normal, just everyday worker, you won't have access. Usually, there's some type of security clearance to get in these rooms
Mhm.
because just with the high voltage of power, and if you don't have on the proper PPE and things of that sort, you can end up touching something and that can lead to a fatality.
Damn. Okay. 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 Let's see. I actually, one of the things you alluded to earlier was how technology was changing how power is distributed or planned for. You even mentioned that there could be communities. There's grids within grids. So as we're thinking about how technology is advancing, where do you see power going in 15 to 20 years?
Man, Baba, if I knew that answer, I'd be Jeff Bezos. But
Touche.
right. What I will tell you is right now as a utility company with solar being something that everybody's exploring. So
Yeah, yeah.
if we think about solar, solar feeds into our grid. So I know some people who have solar, if you don't know how it works, let's just say you have a single family home, maybe husband, wife, and 3 kids. Your normal utility bill is, let's say, 2 to 300 a month. Yeah, you can end up getting solar, and it can probably range you about $50 to $70 a month, just based off the solar panels feeding into that your actual breaker box, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So if we think about it on a larger scale, and we think about everybody in America goes to solar, then we have a whole different type of grid, right?
Hmm.
That's where the utility industry has to continue to be strategic in figuring out how we can expand. Like I stated a couple of questions ago, the days of just the meter spinning for revenue are totally different with solar because solar actually feeds into our grid. So that's something that we're working on, and I imagine in 15, 20 years from now, it'll probably be a whole different utility.
Gotcha. I guess before I talked with you, in my head I was thinking that maybe solar would be a competitor to you all to ComEd or to energy companies, but the fact that you all have found a way to integrate it into your system also and that y'all are partners, that was eye-opening because I didn't perceive it that way. What about let's say wind energy or hydro energy? Do you all consider them partners the same way you do solar, or how do you all look at those sources of energy?
If you think about all of what you name generate power, right?
Hmm.
And what we do is we try to find different ways to generate power because the days of the fossil plants and the coal plants, that's pretty much of the past, and a lot of them are going away. So that's just a new way of technology on how we're generating power.
Hmm. Gotcha. You shared a little bit about some of the most recent work you've done, being with large developers and corporate companies. I know you've been at ComEd for over 15 years now. What's another job that you've held that you really enjoy doing?
Oh man, whew, I'll tell you. So I've been in ComEd since 2006. I've had uh, five different roles. I think the position I have now, I like it. I can see these skyscrapers. I can see the big buildings. I can see where they come from. But I think my favorite job was actually was a FLS. It's a frontline supervisor, and as a frontline supervisor, I'm actually out there with the union members, and these are the guys that you see on the poles and the bucket trucks and
Mm,
things of that sort. And these are the first responders who actually is getting the power on and coming to your house and trying to figure out what can we do to install the power.
yeah. Wow. Okay. So let's say so if there's a snowstorm that comes through Chicago, let's say it knocks out a couple of blocks, that's when you and your team would jump into action try to fix that, right?
Oh yeah, it's go time. It's go time. We got to get the power back on. It's go time.
Man, that sounds so your team would be out there in, let's say, freezing temperatures, maybe the storm is even still going on, and they're still working hard trying to get the power back on for customers, right?
Yes. So when you have a power outage, it's all hands on deck. No
Hmm.
matter the temperature, hot, cold, rain, snow, we have to do whatever to get this customer back on.
Man, wow. Okay. That sounds like tough work. And I know we've talked about this just separately conversations, but let's say we'll use Hurricane Ian that just came through in Florida, and that sometimes you will, not you specifically, but that some of your team or people who have that skill set and knowledge will go to other areas to help work with those grids. Do I remember that correctly? Is that what would actually happen?
Definitely. If you think about it, when you talk about utility companies, there's usually only one utility in most cities across the U.S. So, just like you said, those hurricanes. I've sent crews to Puerto Rico. I've sent crews to
Mhm,
Florida. I've sent crews to New York. I've sent crews everywhere. I actually even had the experience on going down to actually Florida one time.
mhm.
And what happens is when you go down there, you're in charge of your crews, and we load up all the trucks and we drive down there to find out how we could get this power on. So all the utilities work together because the common goal is get the customer back on as soon as possible.
Yeah, yeah. That's why in the intro I said, you love your job because you want to provide people with a good quality of life, and being able to have heat and light is a critical part of that. So bringing that passion to it that you do, I imagine it really shines through with your team and with response rates. That getting, you don't leave people out of power too long because that's affecting their quality of life.
Definitely. I mean, people never look at probably the utility company as a customer service business, but oh man, I mean, just to see people faces light up once they see, you know, their furnace come on, with their lights come on. I
Yeah.
mean, we're probably one of the biggest customer service industries in America.
Yeah, no, people, no, I can admit that I didn't look at this until we had this conversation, and I imagine more people will start to look at energy companies as customer service. So that's thank you for all of that you do, man. Let me ask you this now: what
Thank
has
you.
been your proudest achievement in your career so far?
Wow. I think my proudest achievement is I think coming from graduating from Florida A&M and all the excellent black people and just black excellence down in Florida A&M, coming to a utility company and with my five rows. I think most of these roles that I went in, I was either the youngest or maybe the only black on the team, and being able to be successful and lead these teams and do well in the company. So I think that's my proudest accomplishment.
Salute, salute. A lot of people have, a lot of my other guests have shared that oftentimes they're the only black person in the room, sometimes even the youngest, and that maybe early on they maybe have suffered from imposter syndrome. Are you familiar with imposter syndrome? It's where you don't feel like
I've heard of it. I've heard of
it's
it.
where you
Yeah,
don't feel like you belong in the room. So you don't feel like
yeah,
you've earned the right to be in the same room. Have you ever had those
correct.
feelings inside, or have you always had this internal confidence that, hey, I know I have the education and the soft skills, such as communication, dealing with high stress situations, to be able to I've earned the right to be in these rooms, even though I may be young and I may be one of the few minorities in the room.
Yeah. So, like I say, Florida A&M prepared me for this situation.
Hey.
Florida A&M, Beta Nu Chapter, Alpha Phi Alpha, Fraternity
Let's
Incorporated,
go. Let's go.
uh, definitely prepared me for this situation. Um, because when I go in these rooms, I understand, that imposter syndrome, because I understand they don't think I should be there. I understand they think I need more experience. I don't have enough, things of that sort, or whatever it may be.
Uh-huh.
So, just from the things that I learned at Florida A&M and through Beta Nu, I knew, it's times at night when others are maybe partying or doing whatever, that, hey, I got to get the upper hand to make sure I'm prepared. So just with that knowledge and that background that I learned down in Florida A&M, I'm always prepared and a step ahead.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So my next question, it's abstract. Um, so imagine you have a painter next to you, and he wants to commemorate your career, the work you've done in a picture. What would you tell him to draw? How would you describe that picture to the painter?
Wow, what a question. Um, I think that picture would be a black man, probably praying with God
Mm.
behind him,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
but also they there would be a shot. There will be a sun in this photo,
mm-hmm.
but somehow it has to have Florida A&M, and it has to have a picture of me standing straight up and knowing that I could do it, to exude the confidence that I gained at Florida A&M, and knowing that I have God on my side.
Salute. So I know that's a tough question, but thank you
Yep.
for creating that visual and that image. That's really what I wanted to create is, how can we take all these experiences and then put it into like a picture and people can understand visually the work that you do and how you feel about it. So thank you.
Yep. Yep.
So we've talked a lot about the good of what you've been doing, but as with anything, there's also a bad or an ugly or maybe watch
Yeah.
outs. So if
Yes.
there was somebody young, you just hired them out of fam, they're coming onto the team, what's one watch out that you would give them as they start their career? As they start their career.
Starting your career. We know the stereotypes that we have as Black people about being on time, about looking the par, about sometimes standing out when we shouldn't. Um, we got to realize corporate America has their view of us already. Um, so hey, be on time. Ask questions.
Mm,
Don't be afraid to raise your hand. Don't
mhm.
be afraid to work harder. Um, and just realize that to get to the top, we still fighting. We still got work to do. And hey, you'll get there. It takes time. You might get passed over for some promotions or different opportunities, but your knowledge is something that they can't take from you. So just work hard, be on time, and let your light shine.
Wise words, wise words. Another kind of abstract question for you. When's the last time you've been at work and you just fell out laughing?
Oh man, who fell out laughing, man. I will say this. So I have a lot of fun with my team. I
Yeah.
have a very diverse team. But I will say engineers are not fun people. And so I'm a little different. I'll say my team is a little different because most of the time in the office, they sit at they're sitting at cubicles with their headphones on. They're on AutoCAD. They're on different programs designing, and there's barely even talking. So I think the last time I laughed was because there's one guy who he's pretty quiet, and I joined the team about a year and a half ago, and we last year we were dealing with the pandemic, but this year he came to work in a Halloween costume. So it caught me totally off guard because I just didn't see this coming, and I think that was like the first time like I really laughed at the team because I was like, I didn't really you don't really think of engineers as having so much personality, but this guy
Yeah.
he was pretty funny. He was dressed as a clown, and it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
Is he gonna start a trend? I mean, next year, are y'all gonna start all dressing up to come to work?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got to jump on board. I mean, I know that I thought about it, and I said no. My team would look at me crazy, but now since I got the green light, who knows? Who knows? Black Panther, here I come. Something is
Right,
coming.
right. Wait, why not Killmonger though, man? I would prefer you come as Killmonger than Black Panther, man.
Oh, hey, you know what? I haven't caught up. I'm gonna let you know by next week. That's probably who I need to be. Okay, all right, all right.
Bet. Well, Chase, man, this has been a great conversation. Before we go, I have a curveball question for you, sir. So prepare
Okay,
yourself. I didn't put this in the email that I sent, so prepare yourself.
okay,
It's There is no right or wrong answer. It's really just an opportunity for my guest to learn a little bit more about you and your personal interests. So you ready?
okay.
All
Yep.
right. So imagine you are a record label A&R and
Mm.
you get to put together your dream song. So you get to
Ooh.
choose any three artists and one producer. Which three artists would you choose and then which producer would you choose for the song?
Oh man. Oh man. This is a tough one. Cause
I
first,
know,
wait,
right? I
Khaled does
know.
this already. Wait, Khaled does this already. Wait a
so,
minute.
so you're Khaled for a day. You get to be Khaled for a day, man.
I can be Khaled for one day. All right, okay. All right, Khaled. Let me see. All right, so all right. So Jay-Z and Nas, they done with they beef, right? Cause
Yes.
Nas got music on title now. So all right, we can do that. I want a Jay-Z Nas in some way. I need a big verse. I think Biggie needs to
Okay.
be on that verse. I don't know how.
Okay. Man, so you're going all New York with your artists. Man, you just turning your back on Chicago like that, huh?
So all right, I don't want to get thrown off the podcast, but
You about to put
we
you about
we
to put
having some
Kanye.
problems in Chicago right now with a couple of artists. So I don't want to get thrown off the podcast. We having some technical difficulties that we're trying to work through in Chicago. Uh, yeah, so yeah, we're gonna stay in New York right now.
Gotcha. Okay, and then which producer?
Oh man, hmm. I, I, I'm gonna stay with Cali.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, he has a wide range of sounds and a lot of other engineers that he works with. That if you put those
Yeah.
three in a
See,
room,
because Khaled has the cheat code, right?
yeah,
Because what Khaled does is he can hear a song, and even though you say I only want 3 artists, you can look up the remix and you got 12 artists. So Khaled got
right.
the cheat code.
Bet. Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, and then Khaled doing production. I would love to have the four of them in the room creating, talking about concepts, themes, where they want to take it. That would be that'd be a badass song.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, this was an amazing conversation. I appreciate you once again coming on and pulling the curtain back about what working for an energy company has been like. Thank you for being honest and transparent about your personal experiences, especially some of the emotional ones. Your decision to move back to Chicago after graduating, how you like leading your teams. I really appreciate everything that you shared. I know the audience is going to learn from this. And just, I guess, man, thank you once again. Is there anything...
My man, bye.
Yeah, is there anything you may want to say leaving? You don't have to necessarily, but is there any last things you may have in your head that you may want to share?
No. I got one thing. I do got one thing. Hey, the fight lives on. Keep grinding. Good job, bye. Man, let's get to work.
Respect. Thank you. Let's get to work. Peace.